Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the farm. It's looking like it's going to be another fantastic day of cutting soybeans. The sun is already shining, there's not a cloud in the sky, it's warmed up, and there's a nice breeze. So our combines are going to be able to roll relatively early, and by combines, I mean combine, because our S780 is still out of commission. We're going to go check on that here in a little bit, but before we do, everyone make sure you hit that like button and leave a comment down below. It is one of the cheapest and easiest ways that you can support the channel. If you want to do something a little bit extra, go check out my merchandise down below in the description. I appreciate you all no matter how little or how much you do to support me. Let's get to work. When the service call involves one of those, it's never good. I'm actually very curious how they're going to go about getting that on that flatbed trailer. I know that it pulls in half, but they don't have it broken up right now to pull the combine on, so I don't know if they're going to get square with it and then pull the truck out of the way or what's going to happen. I wonder if this is the first one they've had to do this to this year. I doubt it.
You need to charge movie or get a hydro.
We'll get the 8310R out of the way. That way they can pull the truck around and leave with the combine. There she goes. I've always wondered how they do that. Not that I ever wanted to see with our own combine. Now I know though. The mechanic did have some good news. They were going to have the new hydro pump in stock today. So it should be arriving at some point this afternoon. I would think that they'd get to it as soon as possible. I didn't have a timeline on how long the repair was going to take. Surely it wouldn't be any more than 2 or 3 days. There's no denying that they're extremely busy this time of year. I'd hope that they'd put that combine at the top of their list, seeing as it's brand new. Just to refresh your memory, I'm going to show you guys on the S670 what exactly we think has gone wrong with that S780. Now this combine isn't going to be identical. It's got a smaller, less powerful engine, and the hydraulic system probably isn't quite as capable, but there are going to be a lot of similarities. Just taking a quick peek, I can tell that this hydraulic pump stack is not the same at all. Essentially what happened to the combine, or what they think happened... Wow, that belt's starting to wear. Huh. Interesting. That's the chopper belt. See, I get up here to do YouTube stuff and I do other important things. And to say that this is a waste of time. Anyways, back to the story at hand. What they think happened is that the charge and hydrostatic hydraulic pumps went out. There is a handful of pumps on here, and don't quote me on what I say because I'm not a service tech or an engineer on these combines. I'll probably butcher some of this stuff. One of the main responsibilities of the hydrostatic pump is to run the transmission. These combines are not directly driven, they're driven by hydraulics. Without enough hydraulic pressure, the wheels will not turn. Combines have been hydraulically driven for a very long time. I would presume that they do so because it's much easier to run hydraulic lines underneath the combine than it is to run a drive shaft. That also means that your hydraulic pumps are probably the second most important thing on the combine other than the engine itself. Once they get this combine into the shop, they're gonna have to pull all this apart, get the appropriate pump in the appropriate place, and it may not even be the back one. It could be one of these inside ones. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless though, if they do have the part, it's going to be a couple-day project. That's worse than I thought it was. Good thing we looked at it. A big old chunk out of it. We're getting ready to go sample some beans at a different field. We still have 150, 175 acres out here of these Pioneer. Okay. We still have 150 to 175 acres of these Pioneer 3.9 beans. They were already kind of high on the moisture side, running 12 to 13% last night. So during the day, they probably were not much drier. This thing's being a real booger today. All of these 3.9 beans we were cutting were definitely ready to be harvested. We've got some shorter season beans to the southwest, about 2 miles. We're gonna go ahead and try them this morning. We thought they were drier yesterday and probably could have cut them, but we were just down the road. We figured we might as well cut here. We're gonna move down there. I've got to unload the grain cart real quick onto Chris so we can separate the fields, and we're gonna get started, or try to get started. That is a violent sneeze attack waiting to happen right there. Just an arsenal of bean dust. I've got a really good feeling that the S780 will be back by the end of the week. Maybe I'm just way too optimistic. I am glad that I coincidentally looked at the hydraulic system on that S670, because that belt definitely would have failed at some point in the near future. Other than stopping everything on that pulley system, it wouldn't have been a big deal. We would have lost a couple hours probably by the time we figured out what was wrong, got the part, and got it replaced. So, good thing we looked it over. I've got less than 100 bushels. Gotta be kosher though. Doing another ride swap. Back to head cart duties. Something I've noticed over the last week of cutting soybeans is that our reel on the 630 FD isn't even. I don't know if it's the fore and aft or the up and down that's the problem. Regardless, you can tell that this side is sitting higher than that side. Ron, the combine expert from Hartung Family Farm, says we probably just need to rephase the hydraulic system. That sounds great, except for I don't know how to do that. Ooh, looks like I missed the fun stuff, changing sickle sections. Darn, I hate when I don't have to do that. On the road. That just radioed me and said that there is a truck pulling an inline ripper coming down the road and to wait. Oh, there it is right there. Could I have gone? Definitely. Would it have been very nice of me? Probably not. Sometimes it's easier just to wait, even though we both would have fit on the roadway. What good does it do me to get out on the road and make us both pull over? He can keep his speed. I don't have to worry about either of us hitting each other. Just decency, folks. Here's the lone wolf for the day. Let's hook up to it. I think those straps were definitely made to go up there. They're a lot easier to hook up. Whoa, whoa. There you go. I didn't exactly leave myself much room to work with here. Had to get out of the way. Oh, just a little corn on the door. It's always important to keep in mind which side the hookup's on and what direction you're coming from. Unfortunately, we had to load the head about a quarter mile to the east. I think Dad can clear right here. Yeah, hit the button again, stop. Oh, you're up.
We may have to wait an hour.
Yeah, that's probably pretty wet. 14%? 15. You're going to the elevator too, so at least have to have them at 14. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and cut these beans. They're running anywhere from 15% to 5%. This field has a lot of water damage. It does not look pretty. Some of these spots are gonna have zeros over entire acres. We're gonna have to cut them regardless. We about need one of those fancy air reels because they're short. Nothing we can do. Excuse me, can you move please? Give them a cozy place to stay, a little bit to eat. Next thing you know, they just think they're the center of the universe. Dad's gonna continue to open up the field with the 670. I probably have a few minutes to spare to get the grain cart, because it takes a long time to fill up in 30 or 40 bushel beans. Katie and I are gonna go get another truck, and I'm gonna bring the grain cart. You raving in here? First keyless remote fiasco of the morning. Katie walked all the way out to this pickup truck from the farm. She lives right there. And there was no key in this truck, it was in Dad's pocket. It could happen in a worse way. Our success rate with actually remembering to have the remote key fob is much higher than it was 2 years ago. I would be shocked if these soybeans out here averaged over 60 bushels an acre. Even 50 would probably be a blessing at this point, considering how much water damage it has. You can tell just from the camera here, the high ground obviously is going to be high yielding. These are Asgrow XtendFlex beans. Your genetics cannot save you though from this amount of water. Over 2/3 of this farm is essentially a lake when it rains a lot. We do not have enough adequate drainage. There's nowhere really to take the water in terms of surface drainage, so it all relies on a tile over here in the southeast corner, and it's just not quite enough. You could definitely invest a little bit more money in the drainage out here. I just don't know what the cost of benefit is that will pay for itself. We'd have to spend $100,000 at least to drain this farm. Is it worth it? Possibly. Maybe one day in the future we'll get that worked on. What the heck? Be gone! The power of Christ compels you. 670 stopped. Clean grain elevator cover is off. Not a good sign. Hopefully that was a one-off. A trash built up in there. Now it's probably all those cucumbers. That's a lot of them. What happens when you have water damage? Your weed control's not very good. I think saying that these beans suck is an understatement. They do not look good at all. There's no doubt about it. I'd rather have a lot of cuckoos out here than water hemp. We can kill that stuff with Roundup. We just didn't have a late application. There's no real reason to come out and fix it. Water hemp though, there was no saving it unless we had some dicamba out here. I was worried there for a minute that we're gonna have another combine down. That clean grain elevator snaps, you're definitely in trouble. Does anyone want to guess the yield in that spot? I'm sure it's not high. Jeez, these beans are dirty. I can tell you right now, if there's not a good breeze, this is going to be very hard to unload into the truck. If you think sunset's bad, dumping dry, dusty soybeans is even worse, any time of day. Yeah, I guessed right there. We've got just enough wind here to blow that dust away so I can see. I'm afraid to pile the truck too high in case I'm missing something. Woo! It's like a smoke screen. How'd I do? We'll splash a little bit more on the front, call it good. There are really a few different reasons that the soybeans we're cutting out in this field could be so dirty. The first one comes to mind is the variety itself. These are the Asgrow 37XF1s that we cut yesterday that made 84 and change on a farm up the road. They're not even going to come close to that. I bet you they're at least 25 bushels below that on average here in this farm, just for the amount of water. Some varieties are notoriously dirtier come harvest time. I can think of one specific Pioneer bean probably 5 to 6 years ago. It was a 34 T07. They were some of the dustiest beans I've ever seen. You could tell you were cutting them without even looking at your notepad. These beans were not dirty on the previous farm, so I do not think it has anything to do with that. The second thing is probably the amount of rainfall that was on this farm and the amount of standing water. As large quantities of water sit out in the field and slowly drain away, all of that silt that is stirred up usually resides or settles on the pods and leaves of the plant. We could be seeing this, that there's dirt on these pods, we're running them through the combine and we're not getting it all out the back, so it's going in the grain tank. I guess if it weighs, it pays. My third hypothesis is how we're cutting the beans themselves. Because they're so short, we're running the head as close to the ground as possible. We very well could be scalping the ground in places, bringing some of that dirt into the combine, and then obviously getting in the grain tank, to the grain cart, and then in the truck. One thing that could really benefit us in this field where we have all these short water damaged soybeans is one of those fancy aerial systems. I don't necessarily think they would benefit us in our high yielding beans that have a great stand. Out here where there's a lot of problems, we would save a lot of beans because they're so low, I doubt we're getting them all off the stem. That being said, if I had to make an educated guess, I would say it's a combination of the second and third factor. These beans are filthy from the amount of silt that ended up drying on the pods, and also we're cutting them so low that we're probably bringing in some dirt on our own. Not really that big of a deal. Does make it challenging to dump in the grain cart. One of the major reasons that a standard reel on a platform struggles in short beans is because it likes large quantities of plant material to compound to bring into the head. When there's only a very small population of plants that are limited in stature, it struggles to bring them in because it doesn't have as much to grab a hold of. A lot of times those could just slip below the head and we won't even be able to get them. Whereas areas with a lot more plant matter, there's more stuff to lay on top of each other and drag into the head. That is where that air reel shines. It uses air to bring in even the smallest plants and pods. The bean yield right here in this spot is probably close to 0. We've got somewhat of a water hemp crop here though. Probably should have walked out here and sprayed these. The 780 definitely would have been underwhelmed in this field. The 670 is not struggling at all to cut these very low quality soybeans. I had mentioned the monetary issues with draining a farm like this. The real problem here is that this farm sits as a bowl, a very low area, and that the nearest place we could outlet a drain tile, a subsurface underground tile on grade, is probably about 2,000 feet away. Okay, well 2,000 feet doesn't sound like that far, but the amount of water on this farm definitely justifies at least a 24-inch tile. So we need to lay 24-inch pipe all the way to an outlet. At current prices, that would probably be at least a $70,000 job through a tile contractor. Is it worth it? Maybe. We'd probably pay for it over the next 10 years at least. It's just one of those things though where biting the cost of doing it is very hard to do. Sometimes you just have to make those investments. There's certainly a place for it out here. Management doesn't want to pay for $70,000 to $80,000 worth of tile. To think, I was complaining about how slow yesterday was. These beans are maybe yielding half as much as the last ones. Whew, it's like molasses. A relatively reliable rule of thumb for how good your soybeans are doing is how fast the combine's going. We're unloading on the go right now at 4.5 miles an hour, and we're not running out of power with this 9-liter engine. So these beans are probably not doing well. For reference, yesterday we were running 3 miles an hour, and those beans were averaging in the 80s. Proportionately, that would put these beans in the 50s, I believe. I cannot see anything. That grain could have been run off of both sides, and I would have no idea. Looks like another John Deere service tech is checking out the belt on that combine. I'm sure we could have replaced that ourselves. Sometimes Dad just doesn't want to screw with it. If Alliance Tractor has a brand new service truck next year, it better say sponsored by Dole Farms, because I think we've probably given them a pretty penny at this point. If not us, John Deere, because they're gonna have to foot the bill for that S780. Since we've got some downtime, we might consider rephasing those hydraulics. 64. If cylinders become unevenly extended during operation, rephase them by fully retracting cylinders and holding control switch to remove air from system. That tells me next to nothing. Okay, it's on the next page. There's our answer. Raise reel, put safety stops down, and unscrew that. I put the safety stops down. That should fall into place when we raise the head up. It'll lock right there. Raise the reel up. It's not seeming to fix it. I was supposed to fix it. They didn't. They're going up. Yeah. Resorting to the manual adjustment. Maybe air wasn't the problem. Definitely a little bit better. I think not only do we have some issues with the height, the fore and aft, or the front and back, also seem to be miscalibrated. So I don't know if we have error in the entire system or what it is, but not really a do or die type thing. Just like that, we're back in action. Although we were never quite out of action, it's more of an intermission. Showing a little skin with the combine right now. And I put my safety protection on. Allergies are gonna be fired up today. Usually on rock duty as well as soybean duty. Since we've gotten out of the trenches in this field, so to speak, we're up on the hill areas that aren't as water damaged. These beans are much cleaner. Where's the property line? Looks like a good place to put this rock. I kid, I'd never do that. It's definitely funny to joke about, but if you actually did that, you're a horrible person. Psych! Just see if you guys are paying attention. There are a handful of our neighbors running over here. I see a combine in the distance there. There's one just a mile away. There's one far that way. And there's one on the other side of this cornfield. So the bees are buzzing. are dangerously close right now to accomplishing one of the most impressive feats during soybean harvest, and that is catching the trucks with one combine. Jeff's been sitting down at TGM in Neoga. He said it's an absolute zoo. He's been gone for over 70 to 80 minutes. That almost makes our wait at Tate and Lyle last week with corn look like a walk in the park. We are running into some issues. These 37 XF1s on the hill are extremely tough to cut. Either we're having draper problems or it's the beans themselves. We're gonna go try a different field. Whew, talk about an oven. Leather interior on a 90-degree sunny day. Oh gosh, I can't even touch the steering wheel. Our neighbor to the east, Dan's got his gleaner out picking some corn. He moved everything over in stages. I wonder if he's a one-man shop today. I'm always very impressed with farmers who get it done all by themselves. I've always cursed the old timers who thought, let's just tear this building down and bury it. Won't cause any problems. Been finding their bricks and metal for decades. It's over, everyone. We did it. We caught the trucks. Someone called Guinness because that is incredibly impressive. We're cutting at best 1,100 bushels per hour. Our hauling capacity is much higher than that. Not worth much though when they're sitting at the elevator for a long time. If you had bet me $1 million that Chris would beat Jeff back, I would owe you $1 million right now. It is very challenging for me to give you a field average when we don't even finish the field. I would rate this one at, headed back closer to home. Looks like the draper's got some stragglers on it. We've got a bit of a traffic jam right here south of the farm. Probably not wise to be standing here next to a bunch of power lines with that in the combine. Okay. Lock her in. Oh no! Why'd you leave the door open on the tractor? It's going right at it. Definitely dry enough to cut. Seeing as he hasn't stopped cutting yet, and he hasn't told us any different, I would say that these beans will be harvested today. Things are rather slow right now, so I let Katie hop in the grain cart and I took a snack break. Perks of farming close to home. I wouldn't have been able to do this if both combines were running. So maybe it's a good thing we only have one machine in the field right now. I can take it easy. They grew up so fast. When it's 90 degrees outside and you don't have one of those fancy refrigerators like those prissy combine operators, there's nothing quite as luxurious as a nice ice cold water bottle. Every now and then I like to see how the other half lives. I guess she's taking this opportunity to clean the windows with that good old John Deere classic glass cleaner. Best in the business. I feel like I'm in a car wash right now. Combine is showing 67 average on the field right now, 10.5%. This yield monitor is very modest, so hopefully they're a little bit better than that. Usually we have time to clean the windows first thing in the morning during soybean harvest, or at least every couple days. It's been so dry that every time we show up to work, we get in the combine and cut first thing in the morning. Gosh, you got them in high gear, Katie. Run them off at the combine. The sickles on the cutter bar have so much to do in terms of cutting beans, especially on these very green stem beans, that you're asking a lot when you go fast. I think the wider you go, obviously the slower you're gonna have to go, but the cleaner cut you're gonna get. You're gonna run over less beans, push less, get more beans chopped off, fall in the draper, no problem. Oh my. We're in for another treat tonight. Look at this sunset. Woo. This keeps getting better. It hasn't even been 15 minutes since we crossed over from the north side to the south side. Same variety of bean planted the same day, yet they're running 5 to 6% higher out here. 15 to 18%. We don't want to put those on the truck, or we don't want a lot of those on the truck if they're going to the elevator, and they're not even going to make it today. So we're dumping those off on the back of this truck. We'll probably go back to the north side, cut some more dry beans, load the truck, and send it tomorrow. I'm not quite sure why there's such a disparity in moisture. Really not much different between these two farms. This won't sound much better. Sounds like she's going through an apple orchard. Somehow we finished the rest of that small field. The beans have picked up quite a bit of moisture. She said they were running 16 to 17%. So we'll probably put those on the grain cart, worry about it tomorrow. Disregard what I said. I guess they're going on the semi. Quitting time, my favorite time of the night. Doo, doo, doo. We're the only farmers around, but we're still gonna take our equipment a mile into the field. Doo, doo. It's the principle, so no one steals our stuff. Well, it's dark outside, the beans are wet, not to mention tough, so we gotta pull the plug for the night. I appreciate you all tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day, everyone. Peace.